Hello. In recognition of Mental Health Awareness Week, we're taking a look at Seetec Pluss's initiative to provide support to employees. It's called The Listening Ear. I'm John Govier from the Plus marketing team, and I'm joined by three of my colleagues from across the organisation. Chris Hall, who is team leader for WorkFit, Katie Clark, a health and wellbeing team leader for Plus, and Michelle Barlow from the Mental Health Opportunities team. Thanks all for joining me. Can I start by asking each of you to tell us just a little bit about your own experiences of mental health and why you wanted to get involved with the Listening Ear?
Yeah, hi John, thank you. So for me, getting involved with the listening ear was when COVID first started, because I wanted to try and help some of the colleagues across the business. And that really comes from my own experiences and understanding of anxiety and some of the struggles you can have when you're experiencing that. So the reason I'm in this job and in this line of work is because I have got some lived experiences. Um, with my own children, but also with myself. So yeah, I have that empathetic approach because I know what it can be like when you're actually feeling a little bit desperate and you need someone to talk to and things are just getting a little bit overwhelming. So I was fortunate enough to get support and have someone listen and guide me during a time when I found things a little bit challenging. So volunteering to be part of this service is just my way of sort of helping out and and giving something back to the people that and our colleagues, you know.
Yeah, thanks, John, and thank you, Katie. It's very similar to Katie in some respect. I found the listening ear sort of a great sort of thing to be a part of because of COVID, and because everything that was going on in the world, and especially if we could do a little bit of extra support for people that we work with, then why not? My personal experience behind it is many years ago, hurt my back quite badly. Massive sort of life changing sort of experiences that were for me, but there was nothing like the listening ear around. So for me, the listening ear is quite personal, and I think you'll find that from all the volunteers that are involved within the listening ear, that we can all sort of relate in one way or another. We have that personal connection, sort of, and we would like to sort of offer that out to people that may need the support. So yes, that's me.
Of course. So I work in the mental health opportunities team. So naturally for me, volunteering on the listening air service was something I wanted to do. I think, to help your colleagues and be there and support each other, is just a natural thing that we should do, really. For me as well, like Katie, I've had some personal experience. I've had some similar childhood experiences to some of the people I support. So I can relate to them and I can empathise. So it's really important for me to be able to use some of my knowledge and experience to be able to support others if I can. So yeah, it's important to me.
And I guess, Chris, it would be a bit strange to be working for a health and wellbeing organisation and not offering that support to its own employees.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I before I came to work for CTEC, I worked for a college with an education. This was not around. It was sort of a reach out to who would listen. If you needed that advice, you would just have to sort of try your luck, see if someone wanted to listen and offer that little bit of guidance or that listening ear. But since working within sort of CTEC and Plus, especially with what you just said in regard to the health and well-being, it's sort of a fundamental part. It fits. It sort of really belongs with what we stand for as an organisation as well. So
Is there a sort of varying degree of what people call in about? I mean, do you see each call as important as the next? Katie?
I think it, yeah, you know what I think, John, it just varies. You know, we all know everybody has a different challenge, so it can really vary, the calls that we receive. And I think that goes hand in hand with what may be going on in society, perhaps, or personal journeys, or, you know, relationships, families, all those things. So there isn't, that they are varied, the calls that we have. And we have across our team actually sort of different specialisms. So it's really good to know that we can lean on other people if we need to ourselves, or direct those people to others if they want a little bit more support. None of us are clinicians, don't get me wrong, but some of us have got experience of working in sectors maybe that might have a little bit more understanding around some of the difficulties.
You mentioned COVID. You mentioned COVID at the beginning. Has there been any sort of common themes that have come out during the COVID period and beyond, Michelle?
Yes, I mean, loneliness, isolation. Obviously, during that COVID period, you know, it was very scary for people because obviously a lot of people weren't used to working from home, and then they weren't around other people. They were just very isolated, as I said, and just the worries about it all. So yeah, I think I mean, with Mental Health Awareness Week coming up, loneliness is very much the theme. So you know, during COVID, that was, you know, really key, really. And you know, being there as a listening ear volunteer, we were able to speak and support people with, you know, just general challenges that they were having at home and so forth. So yeah, I think loneliness and is a key thing, really, and you know, supporting people with that.
So help me understand this one then. I come to work, have a rough day, maybe I've had a little tiff with a colleague or something, and I'm having a bad day and I'm feeling a bit down. How do you know the difference between just having a bad day at work and perhaps...
What affects you one day may affect somebody. It may take them a little bit longer down the line. We all have our own protective factors that we use to keep ourselves safe. So, John, let's say if you were having a bad day today, then it's perfectly okay to actually pick up the phone and actually have a conversation with somebody and just sort of air vent your concerns and your worries of the day. You know, we try and encourage people just to take that sort of first step as quick as they can, and when they're ready. You know, why wait sort of 5 or 6 days if you can get that support from day one?
Let me stay with you, Chris, for a minute with this, with a very stereotypical question. Do we as men bury our heads in the sand? Are we less likely to pick up the phone and speak to someone?
Statistically, yes. We still have that. There's still an element of a stigma that sits within the male population, unfortunately. But there is a big but, and there is a big caveat, that with services like this, it's non-judgmental. It's 100% confidentiality. You know, it's made for anybody and everybody. The idea behind it is to bring it all to the forefront and actually support anyone and everyone. So if there was a gentleman out there that was feeling a little bit, you know, okay, I can't do this because I'm a bloke, I can't really show my feelings or affections, there is nothing wrong with actually just sort of picking up the phone and just sort of having a conversation. None of the volunteers will think anything differently or feel, oh, we've got a bloke, you know, phoning in or anything like that. It's every single person is treated the same. Within society itself, you know, we are, you know, society is changing its approach to actually say that, you know, please ask for advice. So yeah.
It's so important to talk, isn't it? It's just so important to open up and talk. Doesn't matter who you are, is it really? And I think it's a brave thing to do, isn't it? Really, it shouldn't be seen as an embarrassment or a stigma. It's a brave thing to do, to recognise that you're not feeling quite right and you need to speak to somebody. And that's the kind of message we're trying to spread, really.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter if you're male or female in the slightest.
What's going to reassure me that when I pick up the phone and I dial the number, I don't end up talking to the person on the desk next to me then? Because there's a whole group of volunteers, but I might not want to talk to somebody who's just sitting around the corner from me. How do I deal with that one? Katie?
I think with the listening ear volunteers, if you know that there's someone in your vicinity, you wouldn't choose them. So you can choose who you speak to. So if you know it's someone who you're closely linked to, you wouldn't speak to them. But we also try to put a little bit of geography on the leaflet so people understand where that person is sat in terms of the geographical location of where they're at. So yeah, that you shouldn't find yourself in that situation. But equally, it's confidential. So it's a confidential service. So nothing would be shared. I would hope that you would have the grace of being able to speak somewhere privately. And likewise, whenever I've taken a call, I've always made sure that I'm in a safe, private space to take that call. So I think I guess there may be an occasion where you're in that situation, but there are many ways of you preventing that happening. But I would also suggest if you're in need at that moment, then even if it was someone in your close proximity, it probably still an advantage to have someone to talk to.
So far, we've sort of talked about me personally picking up the phone or an individual picking up the phone. What if you're at work and you're noticing problems with a colleague? Is there a way that we can approach somebody else and suggest? I mean, do you just slip the listening ear leaflet on their desk? What would you suggest?
Well, we'd hope that you have sort of a good working environment, that you will have someone that is looking out for the office. We've got our wellbeing champions, and we've got everybody within offices and locations. It is a little bit more difficult when you're working remote. But I think for us, it's having that information readily available. So we're trying to promote the information as far and wide as we can. So you can take ownership of it yourself. And because, as Katie said, it is a confidential service, and you are going into it knowing that you're going to speak to somebody that is happy to listen and is happy to be there for you for however long that takes, we would like to think that that person would have that information available themselves already.
And I also think, John, in terms of Seetec and Seetec Plus, the message is out there for sure about employee assistance as well. So you've got the listening ear as that peer support, peer-to-peer support, but also most employees hopefully are aware that they can reach out to employee assistance at any time and seek that support with anything that might be going on. And like I know you mentioned there, what if you see someone who's struggling, and I guess that sort of lends itself to that peer-to-peer support in the workplace. You won't always have a listening ear volunteer there, but we encourage every one of us to just take care of each other. So hopefully there'll be somebody there listening that will point them in the right sort of direction.
Can I just say, if I saw somebody that I felt was struggling a little bit, and I would just go up to them and ask and say, are you okay? Would you like to have a private chat somewhere or something like that? I mean, myself, Chris and Katie, we oversee teams, and I know how passionate we are about the well-being of our team. And if we see them, they're maybe not quite right one day, we call them up and check, and we're very supportive. And I think this is something that we really need to promote across the company. Is just really look out for each other, check up on each other, and it's really important. Well-being is really a priority.
Hence why the listening ear started, because many people went to work in isolation, so they didn't have those people looking out for them, giving them that nod and that push in the right direction. So it was a little bit more take ownership yourselves and try, recognise it and reach out. Please do reach out, because we are here.
Is there a little bit of a stigma about picking up a phone and talking? I know you've mentioned that it's all in confidence, but talking to what effectively is your employer.
There is. It is one of the barriers that we have for our service, and I guess having this opportunity to talk about it today is where we can just sort of say to our colleagues and alike that yes, we do get that pushback a little bit, but we can only say to you that actually for the listening ear, we're here as a listening ear. It doesn't matter who you are, what position you're in the company, what your concerns are. We're here to listen, and it's a non-judgmental, confidential support service where you can take that time, the time that you need, and it might just be listening, but we might be able to help and support and push you in the right direction to get the support that you need from the specialists, perhaps.
So how do we break down those barriers?
I think we're still breaking them down, John. I think this is part of why we've come on here today as well, is to send that message out to our colleagues that, we understand that it might feel a bit strange to reach out to each other, but the biggest strength in the contracts that we work on is the peer-to-peer support, and that's what we're offering here. So we're offering a place to come and speak to people who are in the same or similar boat to you, who may be able to share some of the experience, or just at least, empathise with you, and have a bit of an understanding about what you're talking about and what you're going through, because we are all in this together. We're all in the same company, and
It's nothing to be embarrassed about, is it? We all have these, life situations, don't we? That challenges. It's all perfectly normal.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was just going to reiterate what was just said then, but it's empathy. It's basically just saying, look, we're all on the same page. We're all trying to do the same thing. We're all in quite a stressful job at times. We can get affected by things the same way or very differently. But we just don't want people to let that barrier stop them from just picking up that phone and just having a conversation with somebody. But it's just knowing that that conversation is in confidence. So yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is just knowing that we're all, as Katie said, we're doing this all together. So, yeah.
yeah, and some, we said, or I've said before many a time, some people do have are fortunate enough to go home and have someone to talk to, but some people don't. So we don't want people going home from work, especially when it could be a workplace thing, like Michelle was mentioning, safeguarding and concerns that, it's just important for people to know that we are here and as a team of people supporting one another to listen, and we will listen to you, and we know being able to talk about something definitely makes you feel a little bit more at ease and a little bit better. So,
And how anonymous can I remain? Do I have to give you my name, where I work, or those sort of things?
Nope, absolutely not. You are the person that we would be speaking to, or listening to, should I say, can stay anonymous as they would like. They don't need to give any other information apart from saying hello, if they would like to say that. It's completely 100% led by them.
And I think partly the reason we've come on today as well, myself and Katie, you know, we have kind of disclosed a little bit about our mental health. So that's also to encourage people and normalise it really, so that feel, you know, the people are not alone, and we all have very similar experiences. And this is why we want to support people and be there for each other through the listening ear.
We've spoken about confidentiality, and this is probably going to sound a bit strange now, but do you have any success stories? Do you follow things through and find results afterwards? Do you get to hear about people you've helped?
I mean, that it's a difficult one because obviously we're offering a confidential service and we may not know who we're speaking to. But certainly if you do get that disclosure and someone is speaking to you, then yeah, of course, naturally you want to follow up and make sure they're okay, make sure they've followed through with some of the actions that you may have given them, or just to check in, make sure they're okay again. But very much led by our colleagues, and if that's what we feel is appropriate as well, then you know we will reach out and just say, hey, just checking in, how are you doing, and leave it at that. You know, it's not anything that we're not advertising ourselves as an ongoing support service. We are a listening ear for people who may have found things challenging. And, you know, I think, I don't even know if we've covered this earlier, but, you know, the things that we deal with, or that our staff across the business deal with from day to day, can sometimes be triggering and can sometimes need an offload. And unless you're in a really fortunate position, you get supervision daily, it might just be that you've had a tough day, as you said earlier, John. It could be just a tough day and you just need to go, oh, this happened to me today, and rather take it home to your husband or your wife or your significant other, you can speak to someone on the phone and it's done. It's dealt with. So
No participant concerns as well. You know, I wanted to highlight it's not just about our well-being, it's about participant concerns as well. If you're concerned about somebody or something's really worried you, you can phone through to the listening ear as well. Or say if you've had a safeguarding issue that you've needed to deal with, you know, which are very challenging obviously, and you know can be quite upsetting. The listening ear can be for you there as well, just to download you know, any difficulties you had safeguarding wise or with any customers. So
how available are you, and how would we make first contact?
So we've got a poster that we've sent out to all our colleagues, and on there it's got a list of names and telephone numbers. What we suggest is you're more than welcome to obviously just phone up direct, or you can maybe text someone and arrange a time that's, you know, mutually convenient for you both. As we've, you know, said many times, you know, it is a completely confidential service, so you might think, oh, I just want to arrange, you know, slightly after work or something like that. But yeah, I suggest that you either phone or text someone and arrange a mutually convenient time, unless, as Katie pointed out before, it's something a bit urgent, then just obviously feel free to phone.
Just to add on that, sorry, as well, we also have our email addresses on there, so it can be emailed. It's person led, so if they want to do the whole conversation, as Michelle said, through text, it can just be through text. It doesn't need to be. It's anything that works for the person that just wants us to be there for them. And as I said previously, it can be for anything. It doesn't need to be work related. It can be work related, obviously. It's just really important to get that message out that we're here to support. Yeah, it's a very holistic approach.
It's very person centered. Yeah, it's person centered and versatile. Yeah.
it is worth also mentioning that we are only available during working hours. So if they need anything outside of that, which I think we have a cut off at 6 o'clock, the phones will be off for the listening ear, because we have got the employee assistance program that's 24/7. So that's the one for anything out of hours, really. But in terms of the listening ear, 8:30 in the morning till 6, you'll generally be able to get somebody on that list of your colleagues.
Chris, Katie, Michelle, thanks for your time today. And if you'd like to know more about the listening ear, full details are coming up on your screen right now.